From the Denver Broncos Media Center, welcome to Broncos Country Tonight.
Welcome to Broncos Country Tonight. The Broncos now, unfortunately, at 3-8 on the season. To help us discuss what's going on with the team, the one and only Steve Atwater in studio. What up, At?
What up, Harris? How you doing today?
It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you, man. What's up, man?
Under the circumstances, I'd like to be talking about a run towards the playoffs, what the little things they need to clean up in order to be a better team. But there's just a lot of things going on with this team right now. So I think we'll start on the defensive side of the ball, since that is your forte. I mean, I guess it's tough when the time of possession is so lopsided and they're running the ball against you very effectively. We're also seeing some breakdowns in the secondary. What are you seeing out there with the Broncos defense?
Yeah, well, definitely having a few breakdowns here and there. I think the guys are playing hard. You know, you can't really say that it's a lack of effort, but just the execution isn't there. Give up, contain quite a few times where, you know, you got to keep the ball inside of you. But we've been giving it up quite a few times, and that's a big problem that I see. Guys, I think they're flying to the ball, but it doesn't look like everyone has the urgency. You know, I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
They're getting there, but it doesn't look urgent, doesn't look super physical. You know, you want people to turn on the film when you look at your defense and say, man, when I get there, I got to go to the ground.
Well, but is that a little bit of a reaction to what's happened this season? I mean, in some ways,
like they get confidence when they play us.
Yeah, I mean, when you've been playing at an elite level for so long, inevitably you're going to have a little bit of a drop-off because you're not getting the complementary play from your offense.
I think it's part of it. Part of it's some of the stuff's been figured out. That five-man front they're using in nickel, that's been figured out. People are running the ball in the Broncos now, and they are doing it at will. That five-man front's been figured out. They're going to have to change some things.
They're not getting a lot of pressures either right now. They're no sacks in this last game. Didn't really get a lot of pressures on Derek Carr the previous game. You're right. The pressures are going down. You're giving up against the run. Those numbers are going to start to slip even more, and you're not getting turnovers either on the defensive side of the ball, giving it back. So again, I think it's a very good defense. But the markers that we look for on reasons why that you're an elite defense are usually being able to do all those things.
They do all those things, and then, you know, Pastor Tan hadn't been giving up big plays the last couple of games. Unfortunately, they've gotten scores on them. But again, I still have confidence that he's a great cornerback, and he's going to bounce back from it. But, you know, when you rely on that, you know, you especially early on in the season, like nobody was catching touchdown passes on him. Now, last couple of games, they got a couple of touchdowns. People were starting to, like, oh, what the heck is going on? Hey, he's fine. Everything's going to be good. But, you know, everybody else got to pick it up too. We got to make plays. You got playmakers. You got people making a bunch of money. Got to make a bunch of plays. The more money you make, the more plays you got to make.
I agree with that. You look at this team; they're not getting enough pressure, and that hurts the back end. You know, I mean, you know that the secondary is going to give up plays. You're going to get beat. It's going to happen. But when you're not getting pressure, and you got to cover even longer. I mean, that DJ Moore play, it was like 6 seconds that he was trying to cover DJ Moore. That's just not going to happen. Now, Devontae got him on the double move, and that's fair. But
that was a great pass, too.
Yeah.
You got to get it. Hey, Sam Darnold put that bad boy on the money.
He had a couple of throws out there that you were like, oh, that's why he got drafted so high.
The 50-plus yarder, man, that was perfect.
The one he dropped it, Surtain gave up on the coverage just a second too quick, and then he caught that ball on the side. Yeah. Sam Darnold was out there slinging that thing, man. He was reminding people why he was drafted so high. But in the end, the Broncos, like, there are aspects of their defense that they got enough tape on now, and things have been figured out. Like I said, that five-man front that they're using, that heavy nickel five-man front they're using, that's been figured. They're running buck wild on it. Everybody's audibly to runs and running. They've got that figured out. They're going to have to figure something else out on top, you know, to combat that.
Yeah, man. But the thing is the fundamental. When you go back and look at the tape and you see, hey, you giving up contain, and you know you're not supposed to give up contain.
Right.
You know, not being wide enough, keeping your outside leg free. Guys had their outside leg up, and it's difficult once the outside leg is up. You can't break to the sidelines and get out there quick enough.
Right.
You know, so it's some of it's technique too. You know, just not having the proper technique when they're doing things, and it's kind of frustrating, man. Because I know they know it. I know they know how to do it.
Oh, we've seen it.
Yeah, we've seen it. But you know, when time comes to do it, it's not getting done. You know, I saw a block that Greg Dulcich missed, where all he had to do was keep the outside foot planted in the ground and step with his left foot. He would have got there to
Talking about the 3rd and 1. Yeah, both sides actually.
Both sides,
it was Salbert. Yeah, they both tight ends.
Yeah,
I mean, and you lined up exactly as you'd want. 3rd and 1, you want to go power.
Yes,
and you had both your tight ends that just need to.
But it's just footwork.
The smallest.
It's footwork, so small and minute. But those are the things you got to focus on in practice. Doing them right, you got to be thinking about it for practice. I'm gonna put this heavy, like for that play with Dulcich, I'm going to put the majority of my weight on my left foot, and I'm pushing off. I'm not going to take a false step and then go, because that's all it takes for that defensive end to get inside that hole there, and you're beat. And it's hard to recover from that. And he could have did it physically, but it's just a small technical thing that.
Well, but that's the season, right? I mean, it's one guy, one play here and there, right? I mean, and I think that's one of the more frustrating things is it's just not consistently one guy, like where you can say, oh, we'll bench this guy and then that's going to fix everything. It's not. It's one guy, one play every single time, and so. Again, with a rookie tight end, maybe you expect some of that, right? But now with Salbert on the other side, right, you expect him to be able to make that block. I mean, if you're out on the field, you need those guys to be able to execute. It doesn't matter if they're 2nd, 3rd, 4th string. You need them out there to execute it. And the Broncos are at a point in the season where they're trying to decide who's going to be part of this core going forward.
Oh, I can imagine, especially with the playoffs, looking like it's definitely not in the cards for us this year. But I always say, guys, you playing for your jobs anyway, especially
very true.
when it gets like this. You playing for your job. You got to go out there and give it everything you got, because number one, if you especially making a bunch of money and you're not producing, they're like, why do I hire this guy? Why do I have him? He's not doing anything, and we're paying him the money. So you got to do it, man. 100% of the time when you're in the game. Give it your all, be prepared. And it doesn't look like it's the heart is there, man, sometimes.
But not quit.
They're not quitting. But when I look at other teams, the teams that are beating us, just like against Carolina, they look like they wanted a little bit more than we did.
Yeah.
They did.
Especially on the defensive side of the ball, man. Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, man. And I know our guys are playing hard. I look at film, they're playing hard, but they didn't – it was just something else that Carolina had that we didn't have. We were missing that.
Well, I mean, there's a little bit of a belief, right? And there's a little bit of playing for each other that you certainly need to have. I mean, we could say, it feels like we spend all our time talking about the offense. So I definitely want to spend some time talking defense with you. But on the offensive side of the ball, there's got to be something that this team, through 11 games on the year, that they can lean on coming up against the Ravens. There's got to be something that you can say. Maybe not that they do really well, because I don't think any of us consider or make that case. But is there something that the Broncos offense should try to do specifically against the Ravens if they're going to try to keep themselves in this one?
I mean, they got to run the ball, but I mean, it's going to be difficult because, they got some guys up front. They got, linebackers that fly to the ball. They're a good football team, but we got to establish the run. You got to establish the run in order to do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You don't think you can sit back and pass the ball and you're going to have success. No, I don't. Well, I guess the Chiefs can do that, but they'll run it on you sometimes too. But
the Ravens are second best team in the league against the run. So
I understand that. But I tell you what, I looked at the film. There are some guys, even not having all the starters in there on the offensive line, they executed well on several plays to where, wow, they were in the right place at the right time. The timing was right, and we got yardage on those plays. Latavius Murray was able to hit it for 10, 12 yards, and he got the long run too. That's everybody, 10 other guys doing their job, blocking until the whistle. And when we turn those plays on, you're like, golly, man, why can't we do that every play?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and but what does that fall down on in the end? Is that on coaching for not stressing enough or pointing that out, or is that on the players for not executing? I mean, who is that on? Because right now, I mean, and don't get me wrong, Nathaniel Hackett absolutely has his fair share of mistakes this year, but he's fallen on the sword for all of them, and it's not all on him.
Yeah, definitely not all on Coach Hackett. And I think guys just got to have that commitment, man, because once the game plan is in, once you've the coaches pumped you up. Guess what? It's on you now. You got to look yourself in the mirror and say, am I going to go out here and give it my all? Mm-hmm. And, I don't know, man. I don't know. Hopefully they are.
One of the biggest challenges I think about the Ravens, and we'll obviously spend some more time talking about them this week, but one of the biggest challenges is the team that I mean, the second best in time of possession, right? The second best run team. They stopped their run, second best. You don't get by on this team. They're gonna choke you out. That's one of those things.
And the thing is too, they'll embarrass you.
Mm-hmm. That's right. They're absolutely gonna embarrass you.
They're not gonna come in there like, oh yeah, they're down. We're gonna just
No, they'll run it up.
Yeah, they're gonna try to run it up.
And it's not like they're reinventing the wheel on playing football either. It's just pin pull technique on the run stuff, and then they're making you play gap sound. You blow your gap, they're gonna gash you, and they're gonna keep gashing you.
Yeah. So that's the biggest concern, watching Deontay Foreman be able to do what he wanted to do, that running attack with Carolina. But by the way, who has a really good offensive line. Got to give them credit. Mm-hmm. They have a really talented offensive line. A lot of young guys. When they get the quarterback situation figured out, they're actually going to be, I think they're going to be okay. But Baltimore is where they're at. They're coming off a loss against Jacksonville. You're a player on that team. How are you going into this game right now? What confidence do you have?
Well, knowing that everything wasn't bad, we made some good plays offensively. We made some plays defensively, and those are the things you got to hang your hat on and look at the plays that you didn't do so well on and say, hey, how could we have done this better? Like we talked about the play with Dulcich, where he didn't put his weight on that outside foot and get down in there. He had a little bit of a false step in there, and he was slow getting there. Cost us, getting the first down. It was on the other side too with Eric Saubert. He didn't really get his guy either. But just correcting those things. But we've been talking about this since the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Now different guys, different times. But that's what you got to do, man. You got to go back and try to play mistake free. And like I always said, you got to when you're in that game, it's just one play, man. I'm about to be 100% on this play. I'm about to be perfect.
All right.
I'm about to leave it all out here.
Got to do that. Got to do that all three phases. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Appreciate it. For Benjamin Allbright, Steve Atwater, I'm Ryan Edwards. Thanks for watching Broncos Country Tonight.
Denver's going to win it! You can stand up and salute in Denver, and you got the world champions that live in your town.